Most speak of success, few pursue it. Even few are living it. But I made it. I did not wait for greatness. I did not desire it. I pursued it, struggled for it, bled for it. My body was my weapon, mind was my master, and my time was my master, and my time was my most precious tool. I did not want to be like them. I wanted to be limitless now. Listen carefully. Let me demonstrate the way. Suppose a fire in the wilderness. It does not remain in the same spot. It travels, expands, and spreads. If the wind blows against the fire, it doesn't hesitate. It changes direction, seeks new fuel, and continues burning. If someone attempts to extinguish it, it hunts for oxygen and resurface again. This is how you are required to live. Most individuals confine themselves within their own mind. They tread the identical routine, use the same tactics, and when something in their way freezes, they gripe. They do make excuses. But those that make it happen are like fire. They adapt. Another means if one door closes, break through another. If one avenue fails, conceive a new one. Never get stuck. Never continue to expand. Never cease burning. With a sense of purpose, I never limited myself to one path. I learned all technique, all philosophy, all strategy that might make me stronger. I learned from boxers, fencers, wrestlers, and traditional martial artists. If something worked, I used it. If something was useless, I let it go. My goal was not to be the best in one style. It was to be the best, period. Life will not always go as you expect. You will face obstacles, setbacks, and moments where you feel stuck. But if you are like fire, nothing can hold you. If one route is shut down, find another. If a plan doesn't work, shift and attack from a different direction. If you fail, get up again, stronger and wiser than before. Those who will not change will get left behind. Those who bend will excel you. Must make a choice. Will you stagnate or burn through every constraint in your path? Your body is capable, but it is nothing without the mind. Muscles may be exercised, reflexes can be honed, but barring a well-disciplined mind, you will never maximize your full potential. The body listens to what the mind dictates. If your mind is feeble, your body will be. If your mind is strong, you become unstoppable. Most people believe their limits are physical. They say, I'm too tired. I can't go on. I've done enough. But the reality is it's not body that is failing. It's their mind that has given up. The body can take a lot more than we believe. But the mind is what keeps us back. Pain is not your enemy. It is a test. When your legs ache from running, when your arms tremble from punching, when tiredness whispers halt, that is when you need to move ahead. That is when champions are made. Majority give up when they experience uncomfortable feelings. But the ones who master their minds force themselves past that threshold. That is where real strength starts. I trained my mind as much as my body. When I couldn't move, I imagined each movement in my mind, every punch, every kick, every technique repeated again and again in my head. I wrote down my thoughts, my philosophies, my training strategies, because I understood that mastery starts in the mind before it ever gets to the body. Fear, doubt, and hesitation are the enemies of progress. They whisper in your ear, telling you that you are not good enough, that you will fail, that you are not ready. But these are only illusions. Fear is not real. It is of the mind, a product. If you think that you are weak, you will be weak. If you think that you are strong, you will find strength you never knew you had. When I encountered setbacks, I did not notice them as failures. I took them as lessons. When I damaged my back and informed me that I could never fight again, I never gave up. I trained my mind instead. I studied, I wrote. I planned my return. My body may have been weak, but my mind grew stronger. And when my body healed, I was more powerful than ever before. Most people live as prisoners of their own minds. They remind themselves that they are not talented enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. They surround with walls their full potential, and they ask themselves why they never succeed. But the truth is, the only true limits are the ones you place control your mind, and you control your reality. Train your mind as hard as you exercise your body. Look at yourself succeeding even before you act. When exhausted, remind yourself that you still have more to give. When you are afraid of giving, meet it head on. On when you believe that you have attained your limit. Go continue further. The mind can either be your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. It can propel you forward or hinder you. The decision is yours. Will you master your mind, or will you allow it master you? Most people live within unseen cages. They are not enclosed behind doors or behind walls, but by something far stronger. Their own beliefs. They say to themselves, I can't do this. I wasn't born great. This is too difficult. These thoughts become chains, and those chains restrain them from never reaching their full potential. But I tell you this, there are no limits. There are just weaknesses you won't break. I was informed that I would never live in Hollywood. I was informed my martial arts style was mistaken. I was informed my body was too small. My background was too small. My background was a disadvantage. Was my dreams unrealistic? But I did not expect those limits. I did not, because I recognized something that everybody else isn't. Limits are not existent. They are just in the mind. When you think something is impossible, you make it impossible. If you persuade yourself that you are not capable, you ensure your own failure. If you will not accept constraints you place on yourself to grow, you grapple with what you thought was possible, and you find a strength that was always waiting to be unleashed. Look at the strongest tree. If it grows only under favorable weather, if only reaches upward when the sun shines, it will survive the storm. But the tree which flourishes with severe winds through heavy rains, despite all the challenges, that is the tree which stands firm, which is the tree that is taller than all the rest. This is how you should train. This is how you must live. Is how you must live. Not have become the person I am by remaining in my comfort zone. I didn't quit when I was tired, when I was suffering, when others told me to slow down. Instead, I teach myself how much more I can do if I trained an hour. I trained for 2. If I mastered 1 technique, I learned 10 more. If I learned 10 more, if I reach my limit, I start a new ones. Limits are nothing but weaknesses which have not yet been destroyed. If your body is weak, train harder. If your mind is weak, sharpen it. If your skill is below standard, practice until they are flawless. Every weakness can be a chance to construct if you have the gut to confront it. Do not let the world tell you what you can't do. Do not let society decide how far you can go. Do not let your own doubts govern your destiny. There is no more powerful than a spirit refuses to accept a defeat. Think about water. It has no shape. No shape does not limits. If you put it in a cup, it will be the cup. If you have it in ocean, will be the ocean. If he compares with a berg, does not cut it through the rock towards the mountain, has disappeared. As the water does not, everything is found in the way. You are capable of more than you can imagine. They have no limits, only pending obstacles being crushed. Fear is the silent killer of it, is potentially whispering in the ear. Doubt plants, even before starting it. Make your hesitation in the second bet. Ask yourself the fear of convince you that you will fail to never try it. And in that kindness, in that moment of the doubt of your dream does not die because you they were not able. But because you allowed it, fear of stopping before you can even look where food failure is not the enemy. Failure is the teaching. Every mistake, each setback, each defeat is a lesson waiting to be learned. The only way to fail, it is to do it, nothing. But the fear of fear is at all different. Fear, you too, it puts on the fear of the battlefield, allows you to surrender before the struggle is even I started. I saw many talented people don't fall because they had no skills, but because they have lost the courage to push forward. They feared what others would do to say. They were afraid of looking foolish. He feared the pain of fail. But I tell you, the best it is pain, regret. The pain of knowing that you could. I did more that you could have gone also. But let yourself be retained. I was not afraid back. Failed, I feared. I feared live a life of mediocrity, that I never feared the person I was meant. That's why I'm trained ruthless, why I pushed myself further, what others thought was possible, because I knew that comfort the enemy of greatness. Many people wait will try when I'm done. Eve when time is good. But the truth is there is not a perfect time. That time is never just right. The conditions will never be ideal. If you wait until fear disappears, you wait your entire life that you have to act. Despite fear that you should go through it, fear of fear is an illusion. It's not real. The danger can be real. The challenge can be real, but fear is only in your mind. And when you confront it, when you step in anticipation, despite his presence, it starts getting lost. Fear only checks that who submit to it. Think of the first time you tried something new. Maybe it was one vect, maybe it spoke for it. Others, maybe it was a dream, felt impossible at that moment. Grabbed the fear, your heart pounded, your hands bent it. But when you did it anyway, something happened to be the fear lost power, that you realized that it was not that strong as you thought. This is how you should approach each challenge. Step in the unknown. Take the risk. Strike. Even when in doubt, lingers your mind, because the only way to really do know where you are, able to cope the thing that scares you the most, was the most not told Hollywood. Ready for an Asian hood. My Martin told me, my Martin told me. Philosophy was wrong. He was told that I would never make it if I had listened to, if I had feared dictate my actions, that I would have blurred out of nowhere. But I refused. I made my own path. I put down the doors. Were close to me, and I was there, changed fear in power. You can. The same fear is nothing but a test. It's one. Ask a challenge. If you really want this, if your answer is yes, go ahead. It doesn't matter how scared you feel. Let yourself. Actions are stronger than leaving your doubts. Your willpower is greater than your hesitation. Don't let fear steal you. Future won't let it kill your dream before it has the chance to live it. Fight through it and prove yourself that you are always stronger than you believed. Most people believe that success is coming of just working more hours, grinding harder without rest. But effort alone, that is not enough. The man who digs a hole for 12 hours is not closer to building a house than the man who is planning his carefully foundation. Hard work without a strategy is such as running on a treadmill. You move a lot, but you go nowhere. Like you above the rest, you have to ask yourself, I train in the right way. I am focusing on the right skills, learning from mine errors, repeat the many wasted years, the same mistakes, because they never stop. Their approach to hard work should not be about endless repetition, should be about constant improvement. I have not only trained, I trained with a goal in mind. Every punch was intended to be every staircase, sharpened like a knife, that I refined movements until they were exactly powerful. Effortless, most people practice until they have something good. I practiced until I couldn't get it wrong. I applied the same mentality behind it. Martial arts that I don't remember alone, scripts for films. I have studied storytelling. I have analyzed fight choreography. I controlled how to make action scenes look more realistic. That is why my films stood out while others only saw acting. I saw one art form must be perfected if you want to separate yourself from the mass. Stop thinking every action must serve a goal every minute. Bring closer to your goal. Look how many people work tirelessly, but never they have improved for years, but never control their profession. They work hard, but they don't work smart. The difference between champions and amateurs is not just trouble. It is intelligent exercise. Champions study their weaknesses. They ask what I can refine, what can I optimize, where I can improve, and then they take on action. Many people are too stubborn to change. They believe it works harder is the only answer. But real strength comes of working in a smarter adjustment. Evolve. A fool can continue to hit a wall, but one wise man will find a way to climb about it. Or splitting into martial arts, I did not follow one tradition blindly. Tested, I experimented. I removed what was not effective and stored what was powerful. This is how I made Jet Cardew, not by copying others, but by asking questions, set everything up superior. This same philosophy applies to life. Doesn't do something alone because it is what others do ask. The testing, it improves it when there is a better way to take it. When there is something, don't work it. If you just work hard, but never evolve, you will remain behind. The biggest warriors are not just the strongest. They are the smartest, the sharpest, the most adjustable. That is why they win fights before they start seeing what others don't do. Think 5 steps ahead. They do not waste time on distractions, on meaningless effort, on outdated methods. You must become that kind of warrior. In everything you do, train harder. Yes, but also train smarter. Learn faster than your competition. Adapt quicker. Cut away everything that does not serve you. Refine your skills until they are undeniable. Be relentless in your pursuit of improvement. Do this, and you will not just work harder than everyone, you will rise above them. Most people dream of making an impact, of leaving their mark. Hold back their talents and wait for someone to give them permission to be great. But tell me, when has history ever remembered those who played it safe? When has the world ever bowed to those who stayed quiet, who blended in, who settled for being average? The truth is, the world does not remember those who go unnoticed. It does not celebrate the ones who waited for approval. It only acknowledges those who demand to be seen, those who walk into a room and command attention by their presence alone. You do not need to be the loudest person, but you must be the most impactful. Your skill must speak itself, your work. Ethic must leave others in awe. Your confidence must be so shakable that people feel it before you even say a word. There are millions of people with talent, but talent alone is worthless if no one knows you exist. The difference between those who are forgotten and those who leave. Legacy is how they present themselves to the world. They do not ask for opportunities. They do not wait to be noticed. They force the world to recognize them. When I walked into a room, I did not see approval. I owned my space. When I moved with precision. When I spoke with conviction. Every action I took was done with intention, with certainty, with power. Because I knew this, the moment you hesitate, the moment you doubt, the world will doubt you too. But when you carry yourself like a force, when you radiate confidence, the world has no choice but to believe in your presence. I did not wait for Hollywood to welcome me. I proved that they could not succeed without me. I did not wait for martial artists to accept my philosophy. I revolutionized martial arts itself. I became a movement, not just a man. This is what you must do. Do not just participate, dominate. Do not just exist, make an impact. Do not let anyone ignore your potential. If a door is closed, knock it down. If no one listens, make them hear you. If no one sees you, become impossible to overlook. Look at the greats, the true legends did not. Ali wait for people to acknowledge his greatness. He declared, before it even believed it did Steve Jobs wait for permission to innovate number. He changed the world before anyone realized it needed changing. That is the level of confidence, action, and presence you must body. But this does not come from arrogance. It comes from knowing that you have put in the work. It comes from knowing that you have sharpened your craft to the highest level. It comes from knowing that you are meant for something greater. When you operate at that level, people will have no choice but to take notice. They will have no choice but to respect you, to acknowledge you, to remember you. You must decide today. Will you be another name that fades into the background, or will you be a force that demands to be a remembered? Life will never remain the same. The battlefield changes, the rules shift, and the competition evolves. If you do not grow with it, you will be left behind. The greatest mistake you can make is believing that what worked yesterday will still work tomorrow. Look at nature. The strongest creatures are not the biggest or the most powerful. They are the ones who can adapt. The tiger hunts in the jungle. The wolf dominates the snow. The eagle rules the sky. Each one survives because it adjusts to its environment. The ones who cannot change, they disappear. Many people fear stepping outside their comfort zone. They fear learning something new because it makes them feel like a beginner. Again, they resist change because it forces them to admit they are not perfect. But this fear is what keeps them small. This fear is what keeps them weak. Growth is painful, but staying the same is deadly. Deadly master was once a student. Every champion was once a beginner. Every legend started at zero. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not talent, not luck, not resources. It is adaptability, the ability to learn, to change, to improve even when others stay the same. Do not be afraid to reinvent yourself. Do not be afraid to let go of old habits, old methods, and old ways of thinking. What once served you may now be holding you back. If you refuse to evolve, you will spend your life chasing a dream that was never meant to be achieved in the past. It was meant to be rebuilt for the future. When I first came to America, I thought my skill alone would be enough, but I quickly realized that skill without strategy is useless. The industry did not welcome me. They did not hand me a place. I had to adapt. I had to adapt. I had to learn how to navigate their world while keeping my own identity strong. I had to evolve not just as a fighter, but as a thinker, as a creator, as a force they could not ignore. If you want to win, you must outthink as much as you outwork. You must be faster, smarter, more flexible than those around you. You must see what others cannot. The man who fights with one strategy will lose to the man who fights with a 100. The man who follows the rules will fall to the man who writes his own look. At every challenge as a test of adaptation, if you are struggling, ask yourself, what must I change? If your training has stopped producing results, refine it. If your business is failing, innovate. If your mindset is weak, sharpen it. Nothing in life is permanent. Accept the power of those who learn to evolve the world belongs to those who refuse to stay the same. It belongs to those who embrace change, who master uncertainty, who use every experience as a stepping stone to something greater that is. How you conquer not by being the strongest, but by being the one who can never be broken. Be like fire, consume everything that stands in your way. Be like the wind, flow through every obstacle. Be like water, take the shape of any challenge and overcome it. The rigid will break, the weak will fall, but the adaptable will rise above all. Do not just survive, dominate. Do not just exist, transformation. Do not just follow the path, create it. The world is yours to shape. There, the only question is, are you ready to evolve now? I ask you. You ready to live by these principles? If so, stop waiting, stop hesitating. Start moving. Become a force of nature. Be like water, be like fire, be like